Thank you, Bongane. Honorable Lonzi.
No, thanks, Chair. I don't think I'll be long because I did come a little bit late. I'll say I agree, though, Chair, that maybe we'll need a second session, preferably if we can do it on days where there's no house, so that we've got the whole morning and afternoon with the NYDA. I think, Chair, maybe we'll start with this point because I was quite taken aback when I arrived here. And then members of the board were accusing each other of sexual harassment. You know, maybe let me not call you comrades, I don't know, but you're very young, like for those type of low politics. I mean, we are politicians, we exist in the political space, we fight all the time, but once you want to weaponize GBV against each other, it's so low, it's so destructive. The CEO must still go and work after this. The deputy chair must still go and work, even the chair, even all of you. Beyond, this is 3 years that you're here. Now, if you're going to say the CEO is harassed, or the chair or the deputy chair has harassed someone, Wes, you don't have a complainant, you don't have anything, it's so wrong. I really want you guys to reflect on that. You may have whatever differences that you have with each other, but don't character assassinate each other, worse using the plight of GBV, considering what we're dealing with as a country. So I just thought I must address that point. It's so wrong. It's wrong what you did to these two comrades. But anyways, I think the problem I've always had, Chair, with NYDA, and I think I raised this when we're doing interviews, I don't know why there's an executive chair and executive deputy chair. I don't understand it. Because if you think corporate governance, if you think how entities are supposed to run, you have got a board, an accounting authority, that is actually supposed to be meeting quarterly. That's why when the chair said quarterly, I was shocked that how can an EMC meet every 3 months? It means you meet 4 times a year. That's an operational structure. Supposed to be meeting each and every day EMC because it deals, the whole point of operations, that's why if you read, it says day-to-day activities of the entity. You can't ever see an EMC meeting 4 times a year. That's unheard of. So the executive chair and the executive deputy chair are suffocating the CEO. Can't operate because essentially you've got 3 CEOs in the NYDA. That's why even when we come to the meeting, Chair, I haven't heard the guy speak. I don't know, maybe he spoke before I came. Because it's the board. This board is way too operational for what the board's supposed to do. The CEO doesn't have time to run the entity, doesn't have space to run the entity because every time he must take decisions for whatever he has to do, he has to consider an executive chairperson. He has to consider an executive. So if we're going to get this entity right, and maybe it's a policy discussion that we must have as a committee. I know committees are allowed to introduce amendments to the Act and all of those things because the problem of the Act. The NYDA will never be able to run efficiently when it's got 3 CEOs. That's why the executive chair speaks more than everyone in the meeting. When in actual fact, when we invite entities, the chairperson of the board will open the meeting and give us a high-level vision and mission, and then hand over to the CEO to lead the discussion and the presentation and respond to all these things. But I don't blame the CEO for not saying much because you have got these 2 CEOs here that are at loggerheads with each other. And really, I feel very sorry for him. I don't know how he runs the entity, because we've got this structural problem. So I think that's the main problem here. The issues of the board, Chair, I think really we'll have to sit down and reflect on what we have to do. I think it's becoming very apparent that some of the contradictions here may be irreconcilable. But we still want to have hope that they're irreconcilable. You know, I listened to the former honorable member, the honorable member who spoke before me. I don't really like administration as well, because I don't like power that is centralized in the hands of one individual. So once you speak administration to me, it means you want to give Minister Chikunga a full authority over the entity. And I do not want politicians involved in those type of things, because I've got my own gripe with executive authority and what it does when it's got so much power. So I don't know what intervention we can have over this board. And it's so painful, you know, Chair of Scopa, you may not know, but when we were interviewing this board, I think it was probably the first time where all political parties agreed on their names. We just had one problem with some ANC Youth League guy, but once we shifted him, we're very happy with this board.
So
The TM has spoken.
So we were really like so proud. It got all the different demographics, LGBTQI, persons with disabilities, a representative of, and we're hoping that they would come on board. I don't know if they can find it in themselves. We may be asking for too much, but I don't know if they can just find it in themselves to just work together, these comrades. Like without us doing anything, I don't know if they can find it themselves. And I think they need to have that discussion with each other. There's clearly a contestation of very egotistical contestation between the chair and the deputy chair. And maybe they also need to sit down, because the honorable member is correct. I don't blame these board members. You must take a side. What must you do? Because they are both executives. This one is a chair, this one is a deputy chair. If they are fighting, you are forced to side with this one or that one. So I just thought I'll make those comments. Just a few questions here to understand what is happening here. Honorable Paisley, I may be mispronouncing his name. I just want clarity on this from you, chairperson of the board. You are engaged in a personal case with the journalist of Sunday Times, and you are utilizing the resources of the NYDA. I just want to know if I'm understanding it correctly from your point of view.
Thank you, honorable member. Even if you got late, we missed you in the sitting. Maybe Chair, just that was on a lighter note, but I think the case, it's not, if it was sunshine was seated at home, it was gonna be fine. But I'm being taken to task because of my capacity as the chair of the NYDA. If I was not the chair of the NYDA, I was not going to be having this particular matter. And I also don't want, Chair, for us to get into the nitty-gritties of the case, because the case yesterday was postponed, I think, to a date later on in August, because the fact of the matter is that the case is deeper than what is being presented currently. But when the time is right and it's in the court and it's ventilated in court, then all the details will be outlined.
That's fine, Chair.
Thank you.
Does the NYDA have a policy about how law firms are appointed to represent the NYDA? Is there like let's say it's not you, let's say a service provider is taking the NYDA to court because they didn't win the tender or whatever, I don't know, and then they take you to court. How does the NYDA then decide that out of these 50 or 40 or 30 law firms that are in our role, we want this one to come and represent us?
Okay, Chair, can I request the CFO a response so that I'm not the one who's responding to issues? Maybe through your CO, I'm sorry. CO, then CFO.
Thank you very much, Chair. The process is run by the legal services. There is a panel that's appointed. The legal services division within corporate services does the process internally.
So what is the process?
May I ask the executive director of corporate services who looks after legal services to outline? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. So there are rates that we have with the services provider, but they still follow the same SCM process. So what we'll do, we'll then send an RFQ to SCM using the same panel. They need to quote us before they can be allocated.
Thank you. Did you send an RFQ for the law firm that is representing the board chair?
I'm not too sure.
But they said you are the one who runs this thing, is legal. So who must respond to me? Because the chair said I must give the question to the CFO. The CFO says this thing is being run by legal. And now you are saying you must release an RFQ as legal. And I'm asking you a very simple and straightforward question. Was an RFQ released for the law firm that is representing the board chair in their case against Sunday Times. So who must respond to me now, because you are giving it to someone else?
Chairperson, I'm not privy to this information.
So who must respond?
Thank you, Chair. Currently, the person that is responsible for that is the legal manager. She's not available at the moment. We can request that she
No.
responds.
You're not going to run away from this question. I'm not asking about an individual. I'm asking about a process.
Yes.
Now, let me take you through this. I'm asking about a process. You sent me to the CFO, CFO sends me to legal. Legal says the first thing you do is to issue out an RFQ. Now I'm asking, was an RFQ issued for the law firm that is representing the board chairperson? It's got nothing to do with who is absent and who is not here. It's either an RFQ was issued or it was not issued.
We will not be privy to that information because we don't deal with the SCM process of appointing from the legal panel. That is why I was saying we can request it to be written.
Which role do you perform in the
I'm
entity?
a company secretary.
As the company secretary, are you aware of any RFQ that was taken out
I'm not
for the law
aware,
firm? You're not aware?
yes,
Thank
which
you,
is why
company
we are
secretary.
requesting the legal
Are
manager.
you aware of an RFQ that was released for the law firm that is representing the chair?
No, I'm not.
You're not aware, thank you. CFO, are you aware?
No, I'm not aware.
So, board chair, can we accept here that there was no RFQ that was issued?
Honorable Member, I'm not operational, as you would have indicated.
But you're an executive chairperson.
Yes.
You've got EMC, you're in charge.
No, I'm not in charge. There's a CEO that deals with all those particular issues. There is management that deals with those particular issues.
CEO, are you aware of an RFQ that was released?
Honourable Member, I think I would be dishonest if I answer directly around the awareness. AG did advise in the previous cycle that where there is a panel, there needs to be an established process, one which you are requesting. My expectation is that there is that process that has been followed, but so that I'm honest, I would need to verify that so that I can answer it honestly.
No, that's fine. Thank you, CEO. Now, Chairperson, will you agree with me that the people that are representing you against Sunday Times, in your case, if those people are appointed and the standard process was not followed, that you are engaged in financial misconduct there?
I think, Honorable Member, firstly, I do not know them, as I couldn't even remember the name. And I think because the legal manager is not present.
No. I'm giving you a hypothetical scenario. I'm saying now you're a board chairperson who's got a fiduciary responsibility over the entity. You then discover that your lawyers were appointed, they are going to be paid, and there was no due process that was followed in their appointment. Would you agree with me that that would mean you are engaged in a financial misconduct?
I wouldn't agree, Chair.
So what would you call
I wouldn't agree.
that?
Sorry, my Honourable Member.
What would you call that?
Because I'm not privy to the information. I don't.
No, Chairperson, I'm not asking you about this case. Okay, maybe let me take it to the Deputy Chair, because since you don't like each other. Let me say there is a law firm. Let me say there is a law firm that is representing the Deputy Chair. And that law firm is going to be paid by the entity. And then you, as the chairperson, you later discover that this law firm that is being used by this Deputy Chair and the money is being taken from the entity, there was no due process that was followed in the appointment of the law firm that is used by the Deputy Chair. Would you agree that engagement that the Deputy Chair is engaged in is misconduct, is mismanagement of public funds, because no due process was followed?
I'll make that decision, Honourable Member, when I've been provided with the relevant documentation and the relevant processes that were undertaken at that particular time. I think CEO that is responsible for operations has indicated that at this particular point, we're not in a
Chairperson, can a company be appointed in the NYDA without a due process?
I doubt that is possible.
And if that were to happen, what do you call that?
It would be financial misconduct.
Thank you very much. So, and that's all we wanted from you. I think, Chair, then we'll try and write to the entity to find out if indeed the processes were followed in the appointment of the law firm that is representing the Chair against Sunday Times. Something that is very problematic in our view, considering media freedom and what we want our entities to be doing. My last question is to the Minister. Last time you said to us that on the issue of ARC, you have handed over the investigation to Treasury and you are waiting. How far is that process? Because we're sitting with this crisis here because there's no clarity on what must happen with the Audit and Risk Committee.
No, thank you very much. We received the report from the National Treasury investigating team. I think today's Friday, Thursday. Today's Friday. It's Thursday. I think on Tuesday. So I've not had time to read and to apply my mind on it. But otherwise, it's something that is already before ourselves. But also maybe just to take the opportunity, Chair, Honorable Lonzi, it's very rare that I will agree with him. But I want to agree with him on the issue of the executive chair and executive deputy chair. It is a problem, Chair. In fact, we're talking about it even in the morning. And I think the department told us that when they brought the bill, the amendment bill, it actually was suggesting a non-executive chair and non-executive deputy chair, because it is problematic. What we're experiencing here, I've never experienced it, because with other entities, big for that matter, you have the chairperson who's non-executive. Sometimes you don't even know the deputy chairperson, because you interact with the chairperson and they go home, they do their work, etc., etc. It is a problem, and as a matter of fact, if the portfolio committee was to agree, would bring the amendment bill tomorrow.
You please bring it, Minister.
For the chairperson, for the so that they finish their term, we'll say. They finish their term as executives, but going forward, we have non-executives. It is a problem, I must say. It will remain a problem.
I'm glad we agree on something, Minister.
At least.
No, my last point, and then I think I'll submit my other questions in writing, Chair, is when do you think we'll finalize I know you can't give us an exact date, Minister, but surely you will have a timetable roughly. When do you think we'll finalize this thing of Audit and Risk Committee? Because one of the biggest problems, a lot of the questions that were asked by members of Parliament here were around what is the process if there is corruption, if there is fraud. And then if you read, there is actually an NYDA policy on that. I don't know why no one on the other side mentioned it, whether it's staff, whether it's board members, because there is an NYDA policy that speaks to that. And at the center of that policy is the Audit and Risk Committee. So if we've got this lull on Audit and Risk Committee, then we're never going to be these problems are going to be persistent. So just my parting shot, when do you think we'll be able to finalize this process? I know Treasury only spoke to you on Tuesday. Maybe you'll give yourself a week or two, and then you must still consult. Just a rough estimate. It doesn't have to be a set date.
No, thank you very much. I wish I'd read the report for me to know whether they are saying let's go on with the process that already has unfolded, or we redo the process. Because if that is the case, it means advertising, etc., etc. That would therefore inform us about the timelines. But I think one definitely would want to finalize this matter as quickly as possible, whether it means redoing the process or starting the process afresh. If it has to be restarting the process, then of course you want to do it within, say, 2 weeks or so, if that is what the National Treasury report is advising us to do. Thank you very much.
No,
maybe the last one, Chair. The young people that are seated here, Honorable Lonzi, they don't have irreconcilable issues. I can tell you that. It's just that it's young people. And sometimes it's good that maybe we are older than them. And therefore we can understand the issues of youth and et cetera, et cetera. It's a formal meeting. Some of the things that one could say in an informal meeting, you can't say them. But they've done some good work. If there's one board that has worked, it's this board. Really, they've worked. And it's just unfortunate that we are seated here and probably representing this. They work, these children. They do. And I have that advantage of calling them children, even if they're board members probably. But they work. They've done the work. And if we can give them the space, they are better than any other board that we have had. We give them the space, they do their work, then of course they will be the best board. And I think for now they are the best board. So they are reconcilable. It's a matter of just calling them to say, and then
The Deputy Chair asked you for a meeting. Are you going to give him the meeting?
Definitely I am.
No. Thank you, Chair.